Hello buddy, Insane Frame here, back with another Fallout Challenge video. In the last video, we beat Fallout 4 with Molotovs. That took a lot of time, but Nick Nitro approved that challenge. However, today we have something a lot more deadly and to the point. So today's video is, can we beat Fallout 4 with a 44 Magnum? There's really not much to say about the 44 Magnum, only that it's a powerful handgun and packs a huge punch in Fallout 4. And it is one of my personal favourites to use, especially in bats, as it can easily mow down enemies no problem, and take out tough enemies as well. So without further ado, let's go over the rules. We may only use the 44 Magnum in combat. No glitches or exploits, and no modding the game's files, no cheating, and we're playing on normal difficulty. So with the rules out of the way, let's get into the gameplay. We begin in Frankenstein's bathroom and we create a wonderful character. He looks like a vampire or Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. It's actually hilarious and Nora gets a free pass this time, so all is good. In no time at all, Vault-Tec then call, letting us file our paperwork, relieving our assistant of their duties, and planning a family life with Nora. Anyway, we are called Mr. Burns because that's funny, and as for our stats, we have 1 strength, 5 perception, as Mr. Burns is fairly aware, 1 endurance, as we are as frail as anything, 4 charisma, 10 intelligence, probably from running that nuclear power plant, 1 agility, and 6 luck. Fairly odd stats to say the least, but Mr. Burns is an odd yet charming character in his own way. We then see Burns Jr. and we all gather in the living room, and terrible news as loads of warheads have gone off. We then see Smithers' rage explode and blow up the world. I'm sure he won't be coming back now, but we arrive in the vault and get frozen. Then an employee comes in called Mr. Kellogg and he unalives Nora and takes Burns Jr. Once we're unfrozen, our task is avoiding the rad roaches. We manage to get by them, easy enough, and we loop back round and lock them out to get the pit boy and open up the vault. Once we got the lift of the vault, we then arrive in the wasteland, and it is confirmed that Smithers is indeed dead. We then beeline for the special book. Codsworth sees us in our underwear and has a breakdown, the poor fellow. Acquiring the special book, we opt to improve our agility to 2. It's at least a start. As for acquiring our weapon, it's not actually that difficult as we just follow the river outside Sanctuary Hills until we come across a generator-like object. We follow the pipe and keep going until we find a cap stash, and next to it is a 44 Sun-Nose pistol. Once our weapon of choice has been acquired, we then meet our canine companion, the Hound. Dogmeat, or the Hound, deals with the mole rats easy enough. It's then time to head to Concord, and we climb up the vertibird, and Preston somehow sees us? Okay. We take everything from the roof, including the power armor, and once back at the truck stop, it's time to modify the 44 pistol, so it now has a new grip and a new barrel. Also with our level up, we get 2 strength, so well done Mr. Burns for all it's worth, and the confrontation at Trudy's has 2 opponents. So we shoot one of them, taking them out, and Dogmeat grabs the other one, allowing us to gun bash them to death in excellent fashion. To celebrate, we buy a suit, aiming to get to Diamond City. And on the way to Diamond City, we get Tales of a Junktown Vendor. And I wonder how many times we got this now for all our playthroughs. Anyway, we find ourselves in the Boston Library and manage to get ourselves the intelligence bobblehead, raising our intelligence to 11, which is excellent. Eventually, we then get to Diamond City. Piper does our usual spiel thing to the gate, and then we skip the dialogues and go straight to the marketplace, upgrading our receiver and our Magnum, increasing the damage of our weapon. We also have 2 level ups and go for +2 luck. We then go ahead and help Apathy Farm by going to clear a bunker full of raiders. We also level up there and grab the Scrounger perk, so we find ammo in containers. It's actually quite ironic as we gun bash everyone in there and put 1 round in Atkak, who has a minigun. Once we get the locket and the key, there is a US covert ops manual, so we are slightly harder to detect while sneaking, so all is well. The quest is handed in, a level up comes our way, then another point is strength, so we now have 3 strength. We then do a side quest and go to the 3rd rail in Good Neighbor to talk to the best character ever, Whitechapel Charlie.
Go out there and bust some heads.
He gives us a job to do, and that is to clear out 3 warehouses filled with triggermen in Good Neighbor. This takes us a while, but we pull through after a couple of attempts, and we level up and go for Scrounger level 2, so we find more ammo and can sell it off. Speaking of ammo, we find this beautiful lady, Lady Eleanor, just outside Diamond City, and she sells a metric ton of 44 ammo. She is the amazing, and quite frankly, I was just wandering around and just found her, and she is now our guardian angel of 44 ammo.
Excellent.
Anyway, we go back to Concord and deal with the raiders in the Museum of Freedom with our Magnum. It's so satisfying and we get through the raiders like a knife through butter. We then nab the perception bobblehead, giving us a total of 6 perception. After annoying Preston and walking away from him, it's time to introduce ourselves to the railroad. So we go to the Old North Church and into the basement, then find a dial, inserting the code railroad. We have a welcoming party and avoid all of their questions directed at us. Deacon then has a quote-unquote good feeling about us. Oh, Deacon. Anyway, we level up and go for Night Person as it fits Mr. Burns' character more than anything and gives us +2 intelligence and 2 perception at night time, so why not? Deacon then has a job for us, which we accept. We don a disguise and see Deacon. We talk to an informant and decide to sneak through a tunnel. We deal with a few simps and our canine friend helps out a lot as we take pop shots. We destroy another simp squad and then experience more security, and eventually we make it to the vault with a handy hazmat suit on the table counter which we swipe. We also take the prototype that we came for and Deacon attempts to give us the deliverer. But since it's a legendary weapon and it's a bit of a maybe, we just stash it away in a chest and make our exit to the elevator. Once the turrets and simps have been dealt with, we meet with Deacon back at Railroad HQ. Desmo then offers us to join the Railroad, which we accept, and we are called Agent Wanderer. Quite fitting, but our name is Mr. Burns, don't forget that now. We also have a level up and pull a point into our endurance, so we've got 2 endurance now. We then sidetrack a little bit and go to get some bobbleheads. We get the agility bobblehead on this ship as we just simply shimmy up, which is hilarious. And then we go south of this island in our hazmat suit and into this ship to get the luck bobblehead that's just sitting in the locker. The endurance bobblehead was by far the hardest bobblehead. We sneak through a pipe. Then we have to deal with a couple of Milots, which quite frankly we run away from. Then we have even further security in the form of turrets and protectrons. And then we have a gang of raiders, which are surrounded by turrets and stuff. It pretty much takes all of our ammo, but here it is. We have the endurance bobblehead, giving us +1 endurance, which is excellent. With all the bobbleheads giving a +1 to our respective stats, we then grab some ammo from Eleanor and continue with the railroad. We find a dead drop and then report to Old Man Stockton. He delivers us a synth called H222, who's very thankful, which is quite pleasant. We then wait for someone to show up, a man called High Rise, who meets us, and we battle through a couple of groups of raiders, and then drop the synth off at the safe house, nice and easy. We then hand in the quest to Dr. Carrington and level up. Tinker Tom then wants us to set up his Miller device. It's really easy and we manage to go out and place it for some easy XP. Pam then has a mission for us, which is exactly what we want, and we go straight to the Starlight Drive and clear an area and get the gun nut rank 1. Place a couple of heavy turrets, which is apparently enough defense, and then we get a second mission from Pam. That is to locate a catch. It's fairly near Good Neighbour, and once we're there, few gunners get to feel Mr. Burns' cruelty. Then we get to see the catch. Pam then has yet another mission, and it's to locate another catch, but this time it's in a hospital. This hospital is overrun with super mutants, and it takes a couple of attempts, but once this is done, we get what we're after, and Tinker Tom calls us over, and then we unlock Ballistic Weave. The upgrade allows our suit to be upgraded with defences using Ballistic Weave, which needless to say benefits us hugely. It is Mr. Burns' style after all, and we don't really want him to not be wearing a suit. With our suit upgraded and resupplying our ammo, we then go to tackle the main story and go straight to Valentine in the Triggermen hideout. The Triggermen get 2-shot by us and our suit is holding up very nicely. When we're at the door to Valentine, we take out Dino in hilarious fashion, and Valentine is fine, and we make sure he's okay by pistol whipping him a couple of times, and he seems okay. Sure enough, Skinny Malone is waiting for us, and we use VATS to devastating effect, so his minions are all gone. It's just him, and naturally, he's toast. Nick thanks us, and then we take his hat as a trophy and wear it. Nick then arrives in his office, us in tow, and we get down to business to find out Kellogg took Mr. Burns Jr. from us and has a house in Diamond City, which we try and break into. But we bribe the mayor's secretary and all is well as we get the key. We find Kellogg's secret room by pushing a button under the desk, and Dogmeat volunteers to get the scent from one of the cigars on the table. And one of you exceptional viewers said you can go straight to Fort Hagen from Diamond City once Dogmeat's got the scent. So we do exactly that, and it works like a charm. So thank you for suggesting that very, very useful tip. Fort Hagen is very easy as our 44 does a lot of damage to the simps, and they are absolutely no trouble. We even get a level up and put 1 into our agility, which will come in handy for our VATs. The turrets and simps pose no threat because our damage is just so good. We also grab another issue of US Covert Ops, which is handy, and then it's time to face Kellogg, and this fight is absolutely hilarious, as all we do is we just go into VATs and literally through one volley take out Kellogg no problem. His minions are dealt with very rapidly and the fight is done. We opt not to take Kellogg's pistol though, as you're guaranteed a legendary 44 pistol from him, and we just simply discard it on the floor because it's a guaranteed legendary drop, and I feel it's a bit cheeky as we are using a very good weapon anyway. Anyway, we learn Sean was taken by the Institute thanks to the terminal, and the Brotherhood show up in the Pride Wind, which looks like a marvellous vessel. We then head to resupply and see Nick at his office. The newspaper lady is there trying to get a story, but Nick tries to solve our case and comes up with the idea to use Kellogg's implants in the memory den in Good Neighbour, so we meet Nick there. Once in, we make our way to Dr. Armani, and she suggests a dual link, to which Nick agrees to, and we're locked in the memory chair whilst our good doggo watches, like a good boy. And the memory sequence thankfully doesn't last too long, but we find out about Brian Virgil, a scientist that escaped from the Institute who's hiding out in the Glowing Sea. Before we head out to the Glowing Sea, we do a couple of side quests, mainly the Silver Shroud questline that you get from Kent Connolly in Good Neighbour. It's a fun questline, so I won't spoil it for those of you that haven't played it, but I'd highly recommend it. Similar to that, we also visit Concord to see if we can beat a Deathclaw. Turns out, yes, we can, no problem, as long as you shoot their belly, not the skull. Thank you very much, comment section, for pointing that one out, as it helps massively. My sincerest thanks to you. And with our level ups, we go for our final point in agility, and we go for rank 3 a gunslinger, giving us a total of 60% damage boost with our magnum, which is really nice. With all said and done, it's time to head to the Glowing Sea. We have our hazmat suit handy, so the radiation is not a problem, and our 44 Magnum can blast anything away. So all things considered, we're in a pretty good situation. We then visit the children at Baton, and they point us towards Virgil. The Deathclaw outside Virgil's cave was absolutely hilarious, as we just used that, and a singular volley in its belly did enough damage to put the poor guy down. Inside Virgil's cave, we find Virgil, and he decides to help us out, so we got to kill a Corsair for the Corsair chip. So off we go. We go to Green Tech Genetics, and the gunners are running wild, so we stroll through, one shot on them left, right and centre. It's really easy and poses no challenge. We level up to get the perk Critical Banker, allowing us to store a critical hit, which is very powerful, especially since we have a 44 Magnum. Once we meet the Corsair, we run away and wait for his stealth boy to wear off, and then fill in with holes. Probably the easiest fight we've had thus far. Then of course we get the Corsair chip decoded, so the railroad help us out, and no attitude from Desmona this time. Well done, you have had your morning tea, lady. We go ahead and visit Virgil once more, and he's drawn up the blueprints for us. We thank him, and then Tinker Tom gets a hold of them, and we construct the teleporter, no problem. We then get into the Institute at the Red Rocket truck stop, which is very simple. Desmona gives a hilarious speech about lying and being a double agent. Oh, Desmona, you silly lady. Upon arriving in the Institute, we go ahead and get up the 4-leaf clover, letting us have a chance of instantly getting a critical hit in bats, and then storing it. Father then greets us and shows us our new base of operations. We meet a child synth that doesn't really fool us, and then Father appears and Mr. Burns is reunited with Burns Jr. But we'll call him by his title in this video, which is Father, as he is the leader of the Institute, and we're going to join him and rule over the fools above. We then meet each of the division leaders. They are delightful for the most part, and we almost forget, but we use the network scanner as well. Father then wishes to talk to us, and he wants us to retrieve a simp that has run away, now running a raider gang. Fair enough, and after a short journey, we meet up with an Institute Corsair and begin the mission. It's a little more difficult than the previous missions thus far, as the raiders shoot from different directions and are all in different boats, but as soon as we close the gap, we power on through, as these guys take 2 to 3 hits, and our Corsair then pauses and gives us the recall code for the rogue simp once we're nearby. We use it immediately and then quickly dispatch the raiders accordingly, and we also level up and go for a perk, so Dogmeat can now hold enemies and we can shoot them easier in VATS. Honestly, I really should have got this one earlier, but better late than never, I guess. Father is pleased at the results and gives us an apartment, which is fantastic, so we're away from the railroad cellar. Our next mission is we march onto Bunker Hill. We rendezvous with the Corsair, and since the railroad still thinks we're on their side, it's just the Brotherhood of Steel we have to worry about. They're not too bad, but they do a decent amount of damage and can take a few shots, but our criticals really help us punch through their armour. A Knight Captain with a minigun then spawns, and we take cover, and after using VATS against them at very close range, they're still standing, and we just run and hide, and after healing up, we wait for our action points to recharge, and we engage again and manage to defeat them. It was a very close call, but they are down, so we are the victor. We quickly gain access to Bunker Hill basement and run past everyone. We then use all the recall codes on all the simps and completing our mission, which is most excellent indeed, but then Father wants to see us atop the CIT building. So we go meet him and he reveals to us that he's the one that let us out the vault because he was curious as to what we would do. And then we are invited to the next directors meeting, and we also level up and get gun nut rank 2. The meeting is in progress, and when we get back, everyone is discussing Phase 3, which is our dreams come true, as Mr. Burns will have a nuclear power plant without Smithers bothering us. Father then states he's dying from a quote-unquote aggressive form of cancer, and then declares us his successor, which is very interesting to say the least. And I always thought this was a bit of a dark turn for the Fallout series, but it's quite a dark series anyway. Father then appoints us another mission, which is getting the beryllium agitator. There's a prompt before we leave saying the Brotherhood will hate us and consider us an enemy. That's fine because we really need nuclear power by whatever it takes. Our target is the mass fusion building, so it's our job to get to the reactor. We shoot the Brotherhood, get a keycard and take the elevator, which is fine. We take pop shots as we go down, taking out a few of the Brotherhood soldiers. And then the lift is sabotaged and we take out the Knight and his 2 friends. The lift is then fixed and we continue. We get to the main lobby and go down a second lift into the reactor. Thankfully, we have a hazmat suit and go in, and the beryllium agitator really is no problem. However, security is then triggered and then we have to fight a sentry bot, which is probably the most difficult fight in this run. We shoot his arm and we shoot his left arm, he explodes. Then 2 assaultrons try and attack us, but we shoot their legs out and then we finish them off, which is easy enough. On our way out, we shoot the turrets and the Protectron and exit to the main lobby to help our friends. We clean up the Brotherhood from this area, and then we get back to base and Dr. Fillmore gets the beryllium agitator from us. Father then sends us on another mission and we have to go to a house where the gunners have a patrol outside. We take them out very quickly with a few headshots, and inside a scientist named Wallace is acting like a teenager, holding up in his room. We fail all the speak checks and a simp then gets sent in behind the door to subdue him. Either way, it's a good end to the mission as no one from the Institute died and all is well. And we also level up and go for the Grim Reaper, which has a 15% chance to refill our action points per kill in VATS. This is an extremely good perk and quite frankly a little bit overpowered. We then say a speech and go to Diamond City radio station to upload it, and then when we get back to the Institute, Father makes a speech about the reactor run. It's actually a pretty cool moment. We then have a heart-to-heart with him and then he lets us chair the next meeting. The meeting goes absolutely brilliantly as the directors want the Brotherhood out the picture permanently, and we couldn't agree more, so it's a match made in heaven. Father then speaks to us privately about the railroad and wants them dealt with, and we're only too happy to oblige. Mr. Burns has been waiting this moment, and we say hello to Deacon, who had a good feeling about us, remember that, Deacon? And we give him what we think of the railroad. A firefight then breaks out and our gun is just too good against them. Glory didn't even stand a chance in VATS against us, and as for the rest of them, shots all round because we don't like you and we got the ballistic weave from you guys. Once that's finished, Father is oddly sympathetic about our choice ending the railroad, which is actually kind of decent as him, but we have one enemy left and that's the Brotherhood of Steel. We visit Dr. Lee, who tells us about Liberty Prime and that she can teleport us at the edge of the Brotherhood's base, and then it's our job to destroy the generators, jamming the signal so we can teleport Institute forces in. For the most part, we treat this like a stealth mission and take out soldiers one by one, being as efficient as possible with our resources and our bullets. We then take out a vertibird gunner and the vertibird takes off, but we get a lucky vat shot on the pilots destroying the vertibird. We make quick work of the landing pad and then hunt the generators, allowing Institute forces to come in and turn the tide. It's then on to Liberty Prime and we literally take over and we defend it as best we can, and then we're teleported away and see a big boom. We then have our finale, which is a heart-to-heart with Sean, and his final words and his honest thoughts, a very somber ending, but nonetheless ending the run, proving yes, you can beat Fallout 4 with a 44 pistol. That wasn't the run I was expecting, but it was fun and interesting all the same. I admit I kind of botched up the skills on the level ups, but it kind of worked out in its own way, and also that vendor was a lifesaver in the early game, selling us 44 ammo. But Mr. Burns is now running a power plant again, so all is good. Anyway, I've all said and done. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and comment down below, because it's really cool hearing from new people. As for our next challenge, we'll be doing Fallout New Vegas with 1 endurance and no healing allowed. It's going to be a fun but brutal one, so I'll see you guys in the next one. And have a beautiful day, have a wonderful time, and yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.